I mean, we've been watching now Raw and SmackDown. After Logan Paul, and who knows what they're going to do. They're booking this for Saudi Arabia, so I don't know if they're bringing it back in a few months for the Royal Rumble for a big rematch or anything. But beyond that, where do you go with Roman and the Bloodline? Who are you going to have him work with?
Whew. That would be interesting because, I mean, Brock's back, but we've done that numerous times.
And we're doing Brock versus Lashley now.
Brock and Lashley now. Drew McIntyre's been done with Roman.
That's right. Cody.
It's not time yet. He's going to be out till at least January, right?
Well, technically, I think they said he's going to be out past January. It was my thought that they're going to get him back for the Royal Rumble. But if there was ever anything to make them bring Brandy in, Cody and Brandy versus the Bloodline is money. And let
what?
Let Brandy cut promos against Heyman. I'm telling you, it'll be good.
No.
They can ride the bus.
They all need to be teetotalers. It needs to be a brandy-free zone.
Oh, come on. It's got to be something to do with her. But anyway.
Only if the Bloodline brings in Jane Cargill.
How about Cody brings in Brandy and the Bloodline brings in Jacob Fatu?
That would, if in all seriousness, and Brandy aside, set down your snifter, pal. If they brought Jacob Fatu in, that would be big money.
Right.
Because here's the only thing about Solo that doesn't fit the suit, doesn't fit the picture, is he's short and he's normal looking. For a Samoan fella, he doesn't look like a psychopath. He doesn't look like somebody that would, even though Samoans would, bite your carotid artery. Jacob Fatu's got more body weight. He's got the hair. He's got the wild, crazy eyes. He looks like a Samoan Pampiro Firpo. And from what I've seen, his work and natural athletic ability is, unfortunately, far ahead of Solo. So I'm not diminishing or knocking Solo. He's doing a great job. But if you wanted a Samoan enforcer, a psychopathic maniac that you could believe would go off and do some damage to people, and it can do some amazing shit visually and looks the part. I mean, at this point, is it a criminal record in the background, or is it his age? He's gone too far, or now do they just not want to admit that they've made a tragic mistake? And somebody ought to buy this fucking guy away from Court Bauer while he's still able to get in the ring and do what he does, and put him on a main stage, because you don't find people that do this shit or look like that on a regular basis.
There are other people with criminal records who work there, so that shouldn't be a disqualifier. Hey, you want to do some fantasy booking and you want to really talk about why Tony Khan wants a non-compete?
Sure.
CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble. Punk Roman Reigns WrestleMania. How big would that be?
Boom goes the dynamite. Then you, again, right there, that they could generate enough money that night if they did that at WrestleMania to pay Punk's contract for 3 years to just do that match, and they would be able to rub it in Tony's face.
You have a good story there. Heyman used to manage Punk years ago. He was the first guy, I think, really after Brock that he managed was Punk.
Yeah.
And all these years later, he has a new love, Roman Reigns. Be easy to play this up, be easy to do this, and you'd get a big gate in Chicago. So, but I mean, that's the problem. There aren't too many guys we could think of. I mean, Randy Orton, we haven't heard any sign that he's coming back, and I don't know if he's the answer for this. But who does Roman and the Bloodline work with? We've already seen Roman and Jey Uso. Remember, that's how this all really started a few years ago. I don't want to see him and Bray Wyatt, and it sounds like Bray Wyatt's going to feud with himself. So I really don't know. What would you do with Roman right now?
If a guy has a feud with himself, who gets the winner's purse when they have the match?
The attorney.
There you go. I mean, I don't know, because they don't have a lot of options, because there's not a lot of names left in the business that mean anything, because none have been created over the last 10 years.
Would you elevate a Braun Breaker for this?
But it's still so soon, because he's got all the tools and he's got all the potential, and I'd hate to sidetrack him or make it harder for him later on just to rush him now. At worst, there may be backlash from fans, or he just might not be ready to look as impressive as he has looked in that position with that kind of spotlight on him. I think I'd be rushing it just a bit.
Do you agree it has to be someone new, not someone that Roman's worked with already? Because it seems like a lot of these guys, as you mentioned, he's worked with Brock, Drew McIntyre, he's worked with a lot of them a lot.
Well, and you can always have rematches, and especially shit that the people liked to begin with, but you can't just do it constantly. It can't just be recycle. And that may be the problem, is there's not only nobody there that he hasn't worked with that would mean anything, but also there's nobody anywhere else out there that they could just bring right in and would mean something, unless they put some time and effort into building that person, if they were able to get them contractually. So, good luck.
Yeah, they may stall until Cody can come back, because that may be their only hope right now, to get Roman a main event opponent that's fresh.
And then if they're going to do, if it's ever going to happen, The Rock and Roman Reigns, it would have to be next year at WrestleMania, right? Because nobody's getting any younger, and they're in Los Angeles, and by the next year, the bloom may be off the rose.
You would think so, because of the Los Angeles end of it. I guess it all depends on what The Rock is currently doing. He's now a producer on his own films. He knows his schedule. Is he blocking out time to train for WrestleMania, work WrestleMania, and then get surgery afterwards for whatever he's going to get hurt? Because he's going to get hurt. No, every one of these guys comes back. Even if they have a great match, they're going to get hurt. It happens every time. It's the style they're working. It's going from not wrestling to all of a sudden wrestling.
With The Rock and Reigns, I don't think they would have to do anything that would be exceptionally dangerous to still get the point across. And they're both
agree.
Good.
I'm saying that I think, hypothetically, The Rock may be so jacked up on some stuff that he'll tear a muscle doing something.
Oh, come on.
I'm not even joking. I think that's exactly what will happen if The Rock has a comeback match. We will hear about him getting surgery within a month for some sort of damage. It won't be serious, but he's going to get hurt. They all do. Everyone who comes back gets hurt.
Well, in that case, I'm going away again. I'm not coming back anymore. Speaking of going away and coming back, something that happens every day over at the Wrestling News. What's going on these days in the Arcadian Vanguard world?
Perhaps you slept through SmackDown. Perhaps you missed Raw, Dynamite, Rampage, Impact, whatever it may be. Perhaps you want to know in the morning, what happened overnight? Is everyone alive? Has anyone died? What are the ratings? Who's on the roster? What's going on in wrestling? There's now a source for wrestling news with no opinion, no conjecture, not getting worked by people, actual news, and that, of course, is The Wrestling News. Go to thewrestlingnews.com or look for Arcadian Vanguard's The Wrestling News wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Free, daily, morning wrestling newscast covering the entire world of professional wrestling. It doesn't go very long. A lot of people have it with their coffee. You too can enjoy the wrestling news each and every morning. Once again, thewrestlingnews.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcast. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed already.
What's the title of that program again?
The Wrestling News at the Wrestling
I have it every
News.
morning with my Sprite Zero.
With your Sprite Zero. Oh, that's right, you don't like coffee. I apologize for referencing coffee there, but a few other notes here on the show. Want to make mention of the latest episode of Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon, his guest, John McAdam of Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam on the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network. Check that out today at suawpod.com or look for Shut Up and Wrestle with Brian Solomon wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Also want to make mention for patrons of Breaking Kayfabe with Baldwin and Barry at patreon.com/Baldwin and Barry. The boys interview the widow of Frenchie Bernard. Hear that today, all about life on Andre's Ranch. Once again, patreon.com/Baldwin and Barry. That's right, Jackie. Did you know her?
Very nice lady. Met her a couple times.
Also want to make mention of the 605 Superpodcast, The Mothership!
I knew you'd get it in there sooner or later.
I was wondering if you hit the wrong button. I usually don't get such a pleasant response, but go through the archive today. There it is, 605pod.com. You brought my whole tone down. 605pod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcast. The 605 Super Podcast, the Mothership.